Super Bowl.
Samach Zayin Rav. Samach Zayin Amid Aleph. By the way, just a couple of things. Last night's Gemara, the Gemara said, I feel bad. I said in kind of a not nice comment last night about Rabbi Meir, that he said, your Mashiach is here in Chutz La'aretz, come pick me, tell him to come pick me up, then when he died. So there are a couple of different shatim actually there. The Mashbiach said that it says, it's about the 10th line down. He didn't say, the Mashiach is here, come pick him up, his body actually. Where the Mashbiach says the Kirsa should be, Meis Chacham Dilchon. Your Chacham died, which is kind of stretching it, but that's how he wants to learn it. And there's the Or Samech, though, is an interesting shot. He says, Amar, the mayor said, Amin ibn Arad Yisrael, say to the people in the land of Israel, the Dom Meshicha in Aramaic means a string or a rope or a boundary. So he's saying, tell the people in Eretz Yisrael that this part of the world, Turkey actually, Asia Minor, will eventually be part of Eretz Yisrael. Not just when Beitar takes over, when Mashiach comes. But because it's one of the lands which promised Eretz Yisrael at the end of days. So they say to them, tell them this is going to be their Tchum. Nevertheless, I don't want to be buried there. I'd rather be buried in Eretz Yisrael.
Shop level, Mashiach doesn't mean.
I know, it means the special one, the designated one. You know. But once I said made a crack last night, so I looked up a couple of the other shatim. Okay, we're up to V'nishkafa or Ksiv. It says, this is the opposite by Midr Chafal, which is the second citation in Torah Or, and this is actually a Gadata which is well known, it's in the Bavli as well. It says in Parshas Chukas that the Be'er looked upon the face of the desolation. Anybody goes up to Mount Yishimon, which is a mount in the Golan, he sees a Kvamin Kvar Ktana B'Yam Tveria. He sees something which looks like a small sieve in the Kinneret. Zoe Berish of Miriam. That's the Be'er of Miriam, actually, which is put into to the Kinneret when they finish using it on the way into Eretz Yisrael. So it's one of the well springs in the Kinneret. Rabbi Yochanan Bar Mora. Rabbi Yochanan said, Shirin Rabbanan reckon its size, Voy Mechavna, and its size is equivalent to Kol Tara Mitziasa, Kol Kabal Tara Mitziasa, to correspond, actually not its size, but its location. It corresponds in locations parallel in the Kinneret to the Tara Mitziasa, the middle door, the Knishta Atika of the old shul, the Yasrugnin, which is some section of Tveria. Rabbi Barakaria, Rabbi Lezer, Matailim Bistrin, they were walking down the streets in Tveria, it seems, and they saw coffins being brought from Chutz La'aretz to Eretz Yisrael. Amar Rabbi Barakaria, Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Barakaria said to Lezer, Ma'uilu Elu. What good does it do for them that they come in death? Ani korei alehem, I say about them, nachlasi tamtem samtem toeva b'chayechem. You made my proportion repugnant during your lifetimes. And you're going to come and defile my land with your death. Meaning, he was saying, once you're born in Chutz La'aretz, don't bother coming to be buried in Eretz Yisrael. Amar Lei, Rabbi Lezer was Melamed Chus. Says, Kevet Shmagim La'aretz, once they got to Eretz Yisrael, Vayu Noitlim Gushafar, they would put a block of dirt, a clump of dirt, Umenichim Arona, put it on the coffin. It says, the dirt atones for the nation. So it's not clear, and nobody explains here really what it means that it's mechaper. I mean, just putting a clump of dirt where it's Yisrael on the Orod, what exactly is a mechaper? But in any event, we do that now at Etzem Hayom Hazeh. It probably comes to this Gemara, the concept of Chiper Ad Moso Amo, to bury somebody always with a little dirt from Eretz Yisrael. Okay? Says Mishnah, back out of the Agada to back into the Halacha.
But it's interesting. You see, the Pnei Moshe says, "Mechaper leina al misas chut." I think it's chutzlah.
Yeah.
So it's really, it's not kapara on everything. The fact that you died of chutzlah.
Yeah, well, it's obviously not kapara on your sins, right? It's also not a complete kapara on your, that's the chutzlah, I assume. But something. Go some way. I'm not sure exactly how it works. I mean, he's dead. What good does it do? But all right. Anyway, so he does. If she says, the widow after her husband dies, I can't leave my father's house, meaning I don't want to come live by you, by the heirs. So, the heirs can say, if you're by us, you have food. If you're not by us, you would have no food and you have no right to be supported. Except, if she was claiming and saying, because she's young and they're young, and if they live in close proximity, so all sorts of foul rumors will start, circulating. So then, that's a legitimate taina. They give her mazonos when in her parents' home, she gets to stay home and doesn't have to live by the kids. What's the problem? As I just said, mishum shem ra, because of the bad name, which is going to generate for both of them. Okay, new Mishnah. Kozman she basically, as long as she's in her father's house, she has the right to collect her ksuva for forever. 50 years later, she can come and collect her ksuva. If, however, she's living in her husband's house, then the meter starts ticking. She's got 25 years to collect the ksuva. Why? Because otherwise, if she's 25 years in the house of her father, the house of her husband, so she's exploiting the resources there sufficiently within 25 years to make enough money, enough profit, corresponding to the value of ksuva. Divrei Meir, Sham Rishon Gamliel. That's her maiden name, Rishon Gamliel. Chacham said the exact opposite. As long as she's in her husband's house, she's not moichel her ksuva. However, she goes back to her father's house. Only up to 25 years. Mace.
If I was to see treatment of the mayor saying it's so unusual.
Is it? I didn't notice.
This whole thing that
they didn't get along sometimes.
Yeah.
Good point. Taka, it's an interesting point. I don't know what to make of it. Good point. Okay. So, no, it is an interesting point. So it's the opposite. As long as she's in her husband's house, she can collect her ksuva. If she leaves her father's house, if she goes to, she remains in the, as long as she's in her husband's house, she collects the ksuva forever, according to Chachamim. As long as she's in her father's house, she only has 25 years. Mesa, if she dies, your share within those 25 years, her share mazkirin ksuvas, her heirs have the right to mention ksuv for the next 25 years. Now, the next two lines in where there are a couple of different pshatim in them, basic Korbaneda, Pnei Moshe. So it says, I'd like to learn it just like the Pnei Moshe. Pnei Moshe says that what's the advantage she has in living in her husband's house? That according to Rabbi Meir, after 25 years she's used up her ksuva already. So it says more, she was put in charge of certain properties during her husband's lifetime, and she retains the right over those properties after her husband's death. And therefore she's using those properties to make money, even though she doesn't actually own them. She's by living in her father's house, in her husband's house, she has de facto use over them. And that's how in 25 years she'll make enough to pay for ksuba. Again, shenishlam nichseh b'chai bala. Now, what about according to Rabbanon? According to Rabbanon, even though remember, according to Rabbanon, it's in her father's house that she only has up to 25 years. In her husband's house, she has forever. So what happens after 25 years in the father's house? She's not getting any benefit when she's in her father's house from the ksuva, which, if anything, is affiliated with her ex-husband's house. So it says, within after 25 years, she's mochel her ksuva. It's just a mechila issue. Not that she was compensated in some other way. She wasn't, but 25 years, that's the statute of limitations. After we say she's mochel. Rechir Rashi Shem Rav Chia said, I'm sorry, Rechir Rashi Rechir Rashi is the name of Rav Chia, that boy kumi Rebbe, that Rav Chia asked for a Rebbe. Lo mistabra. It doesn't make sense to say this only by a woman who doesn't have a ksuva, means she doesn't have the document. A woman who's got the document of the ksuva, she should be able to collect forever. Why? Because she's got the document. So why not even after 25 years? Amar Leisei said, no, not true. The Ruba said, our Mishnah currently tells us an even greater chiddush. Even a woman who's got a ksuba, she can't collect until 25 years, except until 25 years. Depending on Rabban and Meir, but only up to 25 years. So even though she has the document around as proof, still she can only collect for the 25 years which are available, not more than that, depending on the circumstances. Okay? Now it says, this also can be learned from the words of Rabbi Eliezer. How so? It says, about Rabbi Eliezer says, Baal Chov Gova Yolam. A Baal Chov collects forever. There's no statute of limitations on a creditor. He can always collect. Lo Amar Baal Chov. So that's Rabbi Eliezer statement, and we infer that he only meant a creditor. But a woman, there is a statute of limitations, 25 years. Now again, let's try and impose a limitation on this. This only makes some sense to say by a woman who has no mazonos. So after 25 years, for sure she's given up again Erksuba. But a woman who's getting fed all those 25 years, I say the reason why she didn't claim her ksuva is not because she gave up on it or is marchlet, but she was getting fed anyway, so she didn't see a compelling, need to ask for it. But when after 25 years, if she decides she wants to come after it, so since she's getting mazonos all the years, then that was why she didn't claim the ksuva. She can come later on and claim the ksuva. Okay? Says the Gemara. Amar Yosef said, Sof davar achatitba. Is it true that it goes that that she has to command the ksuva? Afilu kain, no, even like this, he's kira. She just has to say within those 25 years, ksuva, and she doesn't have to demand it, and that's enough to to start the meter ticking again. You don't need tvia. He's kira. Now, according to Moshe, he's actually arguing on the previous Gemara. Why? Because the reason why during the 25th Bnei Moshe says a nice phrase, says the reason why a woman who has mizonos is not going to claim her ksuva because she's embarrassed. She's biting the hand that's feeding her, right? Because they're feeding her mizonos, she's going to call and claim ksuva, so that's why she's embarrassed. So ever since Bnei Moshe for 25 years, she's not going to ask for it, but she might come afterwards, and in 25 years, statute of limitations doesn't count by her. So in that, Rabbi Yosef ben Azariah says, yes, it's true. She might be embarrassed to demand her ksuva. But in order to stop the meter, she doesn't have to demand her ksuva. All she has to do is mention her ksuva. And that's not embarrassing. So therefore, yes, even a woman who's getting mazonos can lose her ksuva after 25 years. Because although she might be embarrassed to demand, she shouldn't be embarrassed to mention. Okay? So it says the Gemara, How do we know that all you have to do is a proof for Rabbi Yisrael?
We should mention this in front of Ada.
What?
We should mention
Yeah.
this.
The thing that we learned over there in our Mishnah, Mesa, if she dies, your share maskirin ksuvas chafei shana. Her heirs mention ksuva, and they're the word that stresses on the word mention, right? They mention ksuva until 25 years. So it says the Gemara, Deruba Silamei Marloch. Says the Gemara, no. Don't think that where it says here maskirin that suffices. Really, you need to make a claim. It's not enough just to mention the word ksuva. You have to make a claim. Alright, so what does it mean, maskirin until 25 years? It's lab dafka that is the necessary action. You might need another action, a stronger action, a claim as opposed to a mention. But all that the Mishnah is trying to tell us with that is to tell us a greater chiddush, which is even she went for 24 years and 353 days by the lunar calendar. Below Tava, and she didn't demand her ksuva. Tava, and on the last day of those 25 years she demanded her ksuva. We give her another 25 years. So when it says maskir, it's not going to tell us how you have to mention it, but it's going to tell us that the mention alone starts the clock ticking again. Okay? She must have died. Her husband must have died when she was very young. You get the idea. Okay?
Why do we give her that benefit now?
What benefit?
Of restarting the clock.
Why not? She's owed the money. It's a ksuva. We're just reinforcing her right. In essence, if we take it away from her after 25 years, we're depriving her of her right.
She's had all that 25 years too.
Not necessarily. She was to do what?
To mention it and tell it.
Okay, so that's true. But once she mentions it, she doesn't have to claim it. She can let it wait for another 25 years. Okay. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Simon ben Levi said, "Lo shana el ksuas mana masayim." When do I say statute of limitations of 25 years? By a baseline ksuva of 100 or 200 zuz. Ksuva of dinar, but the tosefes ksuva. Now, all Farshim say this is tosefes ksuva itself. Right? It's not just tosefes, but also in a ksuva which has tosefes on the ikar, on the primary component as well. She can collect forever. Why is that? An interesting concept. That tonight ksuva is an additional amount. So just like it's additional in the amount, it's additional in the time. Because of his great love for her, he's willing to forego the 25-year limitation. Bear in mind this limitation being surpassed 25 years after he kicked the bucket. But he's willing to extend her that. What? Yeah. Love lasts forever. Okay? I don't think in Masechta Kesuvos we ever once mentioned love. We didn't mention chiba, we didn't mention love. Yeah, that's all. Yeah. So even again, lo shal Kesuvos man Messiah Kesuvos halptina v'goy v'loylu. If it's extra money, then it collects forever. No, he argued. Said there's no time and amount continuum. Even if a ksuva is $1,000, you have a 25-year limitation. And this machlok is going to like another machlok. We learned over there. If somebody is damaged by somebody else, so Shem is when we reckon the amount of land which has to be given as payment of the claim, it's reckoned in the best possible grade land. Ba'achov is reckoned in medium grade land. And the ksuva of a woman gets the lowest grade land. So now said, similar to the one we had before. Lo shal mana masayim. That's only going on the a ksuva of 100 or 200. A ksuva shal din because it's just perfunctory. A ksuva shal din, but ksuva is $1,000, which is not perfunctory. Go to the Beinus, it's like a creditor, and you get Beinus. Rabbi Yossi said, not true. Afilu ksuvas elef dinar In the ksuva is $1,000. Ain't a goy I mean his bush only gets the worst off. Vasid Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabbi Shubin Levi. This is the same I was saying before about whether there's a grace period for the a grace period beyond the 25 years for Tosefis or not. And here too we have a similar machlokas about what's the status of the ksuva by Tosefis. With Tosefis is also from Ziburis, like everything else. So Tosefis is from Beinonis, right? Let's sheet this line up. The Tiyatah we learned over there. Somebody writes his property to his kids. Now this is before his death. Right, so it's a shchimira. So v'kasali shel karka kosher. Actually, I don't know if it's shchimira. I think it's a shchimira. Maybe not. Seemed like a whole bunch of people all of a sudden got up at once. Right? You got up to get tissue. It seemed like a whole bunch of people got up at once. I thought maybe they're bringing a Sefer Torah or something. Okay, my imagination. So, the Tiyatah, we have a similar case over here. Yet another similar case. So already had two similar cases. Tanai Ksuva vis-a-vis the 25 years, whether it supersedes 25 years or not. And Tanai Ksuva vis-a-vis Ziburis and Beinonis, where Tanai Ksuva kicks it up the ladder from Ziburis to Beinonis. And now we have yet another machlokas. The Tiyatah we learned over there. You write your property to your kids. Now, you're the shchimira property. I don't know if it's shchimira or not shchimira. I don't recall that it's necessarily shchimira. But it's shchimira property. And he said, "Oh, you dear, I'll also give you a small parcel of land." Thinking she was supposed to get a good big parcel of land because she was doer ksuva. But if she acquiesces to this raw deal, so then tough on her. eBay, it says eBay, but should be Ibda. She lost her ksuba because she acquiesced. The Rav Amar, now what's the story? Rav Amar only been mizakeh there only when she's left in charge of distribution, and she actually participates in distribution in this way. It obviously reveals that she's going to be machlo ksuba. Shmuel Amar, even b'mechalik lefaneh, even if you just distribute in front of her, that's sufficient. Even you don't have to leave her in charge. Shul's ksuba just gets that piece of land. This is a leniency of ksuba. They can lose your ksuba very easily, right? All right, but I said time Rabbi Yisrael. The logic of Rabbi Yisrael is lo sotover ksuvas monel masayin. Oh, well, this is actually why it's important here. Rabbi Yisrael holds his kula ksuva. Holds it's not just kula on a ksuva of a baseline of 100 or 200, el afilu ksuva elef dinar mikule ksuva shanukan. Even a ksuva is $1,000. Once she agrees to a small parcel of land, she loses it. The same machlokas here, whether it's only about the ksuvas monim masayim, or it's about even the tosefes ksuva that for a piece of land she loses the whole business. Okay. Says new parak, the last parak. There were two dayanim who judged court cases which had to do with theft in Yerushalayim. Admon and Chana ben Avshalom. Chana mar shnei dvarim, Admon amar shiva. Chana said 2 things, Admon said 7 things. One of the first things Admon said is, or Chana said, Mishlach lo n'tiyasem, somebody went to Chutzaretz. Vishlu Tavas Mizona says his wife wants to be fed in his absence. Chana mar tishava basov, she takes an oath at the end of her procuring her victuals. Not at the beginning of her procuring. I'm just going to explain this. The children of the crying Gedolim argued. They said she should take her shul both at the beginning, before she collects, and basof after she collected money, or so sold off property in order to raise money to buy food. Rabbi said, Kid Ibrahim, like they said. No, I like Hanan. He said good. Lo tishua el basal. The shul only need be made at the end, not beginning. And more is going to discuss these parameters. Says more. Wait a minute. It's only two dayanim Yerushalayim. Lo kein amar Pinchas Shem Rabbi Yoshe Rabbi Pinchas say Rabbi Yoshe are Babil to Shishim Batek Nasios. There are 460 shuls by Yerushalayim. The Koachas Achas Ha'el Beis Sefer. Everyone at an elementary school. We're based Talmud Yeshiva. Beis Sefer Lemikra, Beis Sefer for Chumash, Beis Talmud Lemishnah. So how come you only say there were two dayanim? Says more of Eluain Amamunim Ala Gezel. There are many dayanim, but these are the ones in charge of theft, and this is their specialty. Anybody has the capacity to protest, such as Chan and Admon, who were able to protest theft. The law but does not accept the job upon himself. Whatever ruin causes in the city, it happens in the city, is his fault.
So it's trying to Yerushalayim to show that there was not much theft, that there were very few.
It could be.
More mitzvahs.
More mitzvahs, right. Tari b'shem Rabbi Nosson. Rabbi Nosson, so we learned the name Rabbi Nosson. There was a third time. Ab Nachum Amodi Oyoy Moin. Al Tari Rabbi Nosson, Rabbi Nosson, Shlosha there, Exelu, so Yerushalayim. Rabbi Chizkiah b'shem Rabbi, by the way, in the Bible it says Tayona Gezeros, with a resh. So, I didn't bring down both there. So it's really people, they make zeros against Gazlonim. It's really the same idea. Okay? Rabbi Chizkiah b'shem Rabbi Yachon, Rabbi Hoyadori Sholosh b'kriyas l'shvach. A little bit more, God.
Well, according to the he says that the Chiddush these people made a knas against the Gazlan. So normally the knas goes to Bezalel. So these are more the Chidim among the Rabbim, obviously. I think that's
well, we don't know. They might have had a basin with them.
I guess, but why would they single them out?
Because they chose to specialize. It's an unpopular profession, I guess. Okay. Yeah. Rabbi Yacha. Rabbi Doresh. He said, Rabbi Doresh Shosh Migros Shvach. He used to have nice drushes on three psukim. These were his sermons. Rabbi Chizkiah Vatesha says by Torah, Vatesha Pesach Einayim. She sat at the opening where all eyes gaze. Ve'efshar kain, is that possible? I nebech va'afilu zoyner shebzoyner seino sokain. In the old days, in the good old days, the Alta Titan, even the worst of the prostitutes would not sit in such a public place. Okay? They didn't have movies that back then. Elisha told us now, rather it's not Kipshuto that she stood in a place, rather she lifted up her eyes. To the opening which everybody looks for. Now here the commentator says that's the Shara Shamayim, the gates of heaven. But Rashi Chumash says it's talking about the gates of Avraham Avinu, where all the wayfarers used to look for in order to go and stop and rest themselves. Okay? So she said, Ribbon Shalom. I'll say me to Tamar said. In her tefillah to Kodesh Baruch Hu, I'll say Rekom Evayzeh should not come out empty from this house. Tavrachano interpretation, Batesha Pesach Einayim, she sat at the opening of the eyes, Shepascho Lo Einayim. She opened for him her eyes. Now, I don't know if it means literally, but it means that she seduced him. How so? V'amrlo, she said to him, Penuyani, I'm unencumbered by marriage, Utarani, and I am pure, so therefore you can have relations with me. Okay? The Yehuda wasn't going to have relations with a Nida Zona, or Zona Nida, so she was telling him that she's okay. Veli Zokein Bod, another passage in Dashin says, Eli was very old, and his kids, the rotten, were rotten, Chofni and Pinchas, and it says that Asher Yashkivun used to lay down with women in front of the Oel Moed. So Yashkivun, see, it doesn't say Yashkivun, the way it's written not Yashkivun that they lay with, but rather Yashkivun, they caused to lay down. So Amar Rebbe said, Shoot. Well, what happened, there's another famous drasha. The women would bring their sets of bird, in order to become purified to their husbands at the end of their 40 or 80 days of what?
Later.
Dam later, right? Thank you. Ve'ein voyim mashinosam, and they would tarry in to sacrifice the korbanos. And since they would tarry and prevent women from going back home to the husbands, the pasuk attributes as if they lay down with them, even though they didn't. They call it's written below in language of they cause others to lay down, meaning they cause others to lack the capacity to lay down. So actually, he is basically rebuked here for there's a rebuke for having caused people not to go home to lie down with their husbands, as opposed to they themselves having lie down, right? Amrei Tanchum said, "Hadoi du mekater lon." That's what he was. This is what he rebukes them. Early before his death, he says, "Why do you kick my korbanos? In other words, you're not properly lishma uvemin chasi and my menachos." In Tamar, and if you're going to say a very chamura yesh kan, they committed a very grave sin. What was the grave sin they committed? If you're going to say they actually had adulterous relations with their wives, so we're saying, oh, you didn't bring the korbanos on time. They're adulterers. The heck with the korbanos. What about their adultery? Right? So therefore, it's obviously they weren't adulterers, because otherwise Moshe Rabbeinu would have said something. Okay? So that's what it says. He rebuked them and said, Eli said to them, why are you kicking my zevach and my mincha? You're going to say that a severe avera, he keeps them away from a rebuke on the more severe avera. He rebukes them on the lesser avera. The korbanos were late. It's a much greater avera that the women weren't able to go home. So it must be that they would have relations with the women. Sorry. It must be they didn't literally have relations with the women. It's just that it was if they did it. And therefore it was part of the general rebuke. They didn't go in the way of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Similarly, another rebuke of Chofni and Pinchas, they didn't go Shmuel's pathways. Just take Meiser from the participants in the court case. Legitimate Meiser Oni, Meiser Levi, but that would cause them to be, not impartial. So, they shouldn't have judged that situation. Amar Rabbi Chelba Brecher said, a slightly different fault, but a similar idea. Caravans would pass by, and they would forsake the needs of Chofni Pinchas, and they would go and involve themselves in Beiske Pragmatio. Okay. Period. Back to Kesuvos. Ma'aseh Rabbi Shmuel, Ma'aseh on the house of Rabbi Shmuel, and it should be Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Yossi, based on the chronology. Says that's a Shari Teretz Yisrael saying that, not me. But in any event, Shepazim is Osisha B'Shuk Tzipor B'Tzibori. He stipulated what fruit, what sustenance a woman whose husband should get, what chutzlaretz will receive. He stipulated this in the marketplace of Tzibori. So it says, Mabashuk, why in the marketplace? So the Gemara answers, actually the Gillian Ephraim says, the word 2 lines down should be put in here. Avrin Yodin. Those who pass through know the market price. Okay? I lost my place. Yeah, Shama Rabbi. So basically he assumed that we know the market price because you line the people going through the marketplace. Shama Rabbi. So Rabbi heard this. So Mari said, Man Omar Le Shaloshi Leachlo. Now, Rabbi's kind of was not so much on the price, but How do we know that the husband didn't send her food on the sly some other way? What gives you the right to paskin for her food? Maybe she's getting food. She's just not telling you. Is that clear?
One of the possibilities that the husband's doing that versus that she's not getting.
You sent a message to local grocery store and said, support my wife while I'm out of town. It could be. So, furthermore, who says he didn't leave her food in some secret place, which only she knows? Now, skipping these two words because you read it before. Rabbi Ila said, Rabbi Ila boy mispar savar. Rebbe. I forgot what I was trying to say. Yeah, Rabbi, I got it. Rabbi, Mr. Sorry for the line before. Rabbi said, I'm a Rav and name a Rav. Or rather that Rav said, Boy Mizbar Sovar, he wanted to come and explain, Rebbe, according to Rebbe, the lace masisa beishasish elabal mona. Our Mishnah, which permits you to sustain a woman whose husband went to Chutzlaretz or something like that after the death of her husband, is only if her husband died, not if her husband is alive. According to Rebbe. Because while it's alive, we're afraid he sent property or objects some other way. So if it's only after his death that he couldn't have provided for her, it's not reasonable to only provide for her, so properly, so then she could, we actually have our discussions of what she can and cannot do. Whether she's got to take an oath or not take an oath. But in any event, he says, as I said, Rebbe delays Masisa Beishasish El Ba'amona. There's no way a woman who's Beishasish can ever get Mazonas because maybe she's getting them anyway and is hiding them. It's only an Amona who can get Mazonas because who she's hiding stuff from. Okay?
So is this a shiur and machzor in the Mishnah?
It's kind of. It should be that way, right? It should be machzor, but it's not. You'll see in a minute. Says more. Shmuel Rav Shimon Lakish Arbeid Amrin. Shmuel Rav Shimon Lakish both says Tabe money must be so. Our Mishnah Tabe our Mishnah. Rabbi said, "Tiny the Beis Rabbi came. This is where Rabbi learned our Mishnah, and this is the way Rabbi Taka learned our Mishnah. The way it's in front of us. Misha Yotzam Dinasayam. Somebody went to Chutzlaretz because he had to leave. Why do you have to leave? Why do you think you have to leave? Government. Yeah. So in that case, his wife is like an Amona. Because he didn't have the time, nor was he able to sneak in any messengers for on his behalf. So it's not actually that we have to change our Mishnah to read Amona. It's Misha Yotza. Okay? As long as it says Misha Yotza. Now, it doesn't say in Mishnah, it says in our Mishnah Misha Holach. Right, the Gemara is going to pick up on that. Says the Gemara, and have a boy named, well, actually, this is Gemara going to pick up on it. Maybe just before she pick up on it. Our Mishnah, they do have to amend their Mishnah, but not that radically. Holach is not good because Holach means that he went on his own volition, and then he could send the shliach. But if it's Yotza, then we assume he didn't go on his own volition, therefore he can't send the shliach. Right. 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 So he can. So Mishiyotza Diasya. Again, tied base Rebbe K. Mishiyotza Diasya Bishtot of As Mazonos. Have a boy may remind him our base she must Nisa. One second. I have a note here, but I don't know what's going on. So just ignore it. Have a boy man about say, "Man of our she must nisa." He will say that our Mishnah about Nation Sish. Bitchila, so she wants to get Mazonos. So initially, she has to take an oath shlo shliach lo, that she didn't get anything. Besov, and at the end, in other words, they didn't get anything from her by shliach. Besov, and at the end, she has to take a shvua. Shloit mina v'shlo erima, didn't she didn't know anything, and she didn't conduct any treachery. Madam, that's if she's an Ashes Ish. Madam, about Mona, he must be. So whatever you says, I'm just talking about Mona. So why are you going to take an oath at the beginning, right? You didn't get a full funds for him, he's dead. So it says, so the oath at the beginning says he didn't leave her anything. But so in the oath at the end, the Shaloit Mina of Rima, that she didn't hide anything or didn't secret anything away. So Shmuel said, Achud Rebbe, the brother of Rabbi Yechia, B'shalo machla liyasayim. Yeah, this is a very difficult line. The good everybody has interpretation here, but actually, let me go back a line and read this according to Gillian and Frank because it works out the best. He learned it up till now as a question. It says, "Man about money must disa." Go back a couple lines. Man about money must disa. He says, "I'm just about mona." So b'tchila shelo in yechla. The shua at the beginning is that she didn't leave her anything. With so and the shua at the end shelo mean she didn't hide anything. The shelo she didn't wasn't treacherous, but man about money must disa. According to chose our mission about a widow. B'tchila, I understand shloin diachla. The beginning she takes a shvua that he didn't leave her anything, her dead husband. But b'sov shaloit mila shaloi rima. But at the end she has to take a shvua that she didn't cheat, and she didn't cheat, and she wasn't treacherous. Once she took a shvua at the beginning that her husband didn't leave her anything, why does she have to take an additional shvua? It's really a question. If her husband is alive, so even though she took a shvua at the beginning, again, like the Gillian Ephraim, it says she's taking a shvua that she wasn't moichel to the Yisayim or Ksuba. Because sometimes, as we saw previously, it can be moichel to Ksuba. So her second shvua is that she wasn't moichel to Ksuba. That's what her second shvua is. Okay? Now, what happens if she went out? He went out together with his wife to the Yisrael. Who bought farm and she came back and said, Meis Bali, my husband died. Tazun, she gets Mzonas, and Til Ksuva, she gets a Ksuva because one's believed to say her husband died. Kirshani Bali, what if she says her husband divorced her, and a woman's not always believed to say her husband divorced her? So Tazun Miksuvasa, she gets fed based on her Ksuva and Manavshach, no matter what. Imi Yeshasish, is she still married to him? Mishabali is always anyway she gets fed from her husband. She's no longer married. She gets fed because of the Mazonos, which continues even after her husband's death, is part and parcel of the Ksuva settlement. Now, what if a guy comes to Chutzar, his wife wants to be fed? He said, he says, whatever you can make in your handiwork, that's your mazonos. Show me love. Listen to him. In Pasku Basin, the Basin say he's got to pay more than that. Whatever they decided, they decided. Rabbi Yirmiyah said, well, I don't understand. You say that he says to her, what about if she can't make enough handiwork to feed herself? Kadosh Shomilo, do we listen to the guy then he says, go work for yourself? Go starve yourself to death? Says more, yeah, we do. According to people who chose anyway, a woman doesn't get fed by the right. So he's in his rights to say, I'm not feeding you. Even if she doesn't have to wear it all to feed herself. Because ethical he's not. A tzaddik he's not. Gehenim he'll get. But halachically, what he does is correct because he's not meshubah to give it to her, right? A time, like we learned, ain't been Mishnah, ain't based in poskim. Actually, it's a brisa, I think. No, it's a Mishnah. No, it's a brisa. It's a Brisa? No, it's a Mishnah. I don't know. Anyway, whatever it is. That's like that, which it says, ain't based in poskim. Leisha mizonos. A woman cannot get mizonos. Midmei shvi is from shmita fruit. You know why? Because shmita fruit has kedusha. You can't be porea chov d'Rabbanan with shmita fruit. Doraisas you can, because the Torah told you shmita. It's like hey mamru ve'hey mamru. Torah said shmita, but Torah said you could use shmita fruit for your purposes of the Doraisa mitzvahs. But if it's only the Rabbanan, you can't use shmita for that purpose. So Mas Mizono says the Rabbanan, that explains why you can't use for Shpeir shmita for it. Is that clear? It's forbidden use because of its kedusha.
What about that it's hefker?
Doesn't matter. It's kadosh. You can't use the biporei chov. You can only eat it to use it to yourself. The Zohar seem bala b'shis, but she can live with her husband and eat during Shemitah. So that's one interpretation, that even since Mizonos said they're not the right, so you can tell her tough. Rabbi Yossi argues, yes, remember, sheyesh ma'aseh de'akadei Mizonos. Only if there's enough in what she's making to feed her. Only then can he release her and say, go work for yourself. So says the Gemara, Kiadot, that's the case. Pasku. In that case, we say that whatever they stipulate. I understand. It should be only if she can make more than she can to support herself. Says the Gemara, we're talking about a case, interesting case, that they actually he's going to give her stuff above and beyond what she normally gets. So that'll balance out, because that way one second. Yeah, the chiddush is next Tuesday. The chiddush is that he wants someone to finish it. The chiddush is that he, even in a case where she's going to lose out other stuff, as long as she's not losing out mizonos, so that whatever deal they make sticks. Okay, that's the chiddush. In other words, Rabbi Yossi holds he can't say see matzeh down if she's not making enough to feed herself. But even if she is making enough to feed herself, she's not making enough for other purposes, he can still say cut her loose and say you go work for yourself, despite the fact that you're my wife. Okay? Nowadays, wives make more than husbands, so that's not so much a big deal nowadays. What? Yeah, or teaching. So it says the Gemara, what if a guy's a chutzlitz? For him, he says, "Yinastu elu banov." Let my property be given to my children. B'noisi b'chlad, that includes his daughters. Im b'shas misa amray yinastu elu banov. Every the same statement. Time is about to die. Im b'noisi b'chlad doesn't include his daughters. You know why? Because when it's dying, he's thinking people will inherit him, and only sons are considered to be heirs. Before he's dying, so then it can include anybody, even his daughters. Rabbi Zir Rabbi Abba is by Yerushalmi. They all said Chanan said two things. We pass like him. Shimon's Varim Amar Admon Amon said 7 things. And we don't pass like him. Rabbi Chakula said every place he said I like Admon's words. How lucky it's about Allah is like Admon. I'm sorry, went to Chutzarts. Somebody got up and supported his wife with his God. Chana said, too bad. Ibis Mosav, he lost his funds. Shouldn't have done it. Stalker shmaka. Well, actually, it's stalker. Right? But that's all this. It's not reimbursable. You can't file, you can't sue. The children crying argue, they say, Yishava Kamoti, you should take an oath, how much you spend. If you told him, take it from the husband. Amray Vidosman, and here could Kedivrem Vidosman said like them. Amray Yomed Zaka Yofa Amar Chanan. No. Chanan said good. He put his money on the deer's horn and tough on him, basically. Nope. It's not as close. You wouldn't have to pay. The Gemara is going to discuss that. If I pay up your loan without your consent, so can I charge you for it? It seems it would be the same machlokas. Rabbi Yossi said no. If I pay up your loan, I can't demand reimbursement from you. But here, the Kohen Gedolim hold, if it's his own wife, he doesn't want to die in famine, so that's why here it's reimbursable. But by a loan, you say to me, I would have gotten to be Michael me. I would have mefayis him, appeased him, machili. Says more, okay, that may be true by regular law, but what about a loan where there was a mashkon? Hagatz b'chodav agabe mashkon. In which I paid up a loan in order to get back a collateral which you left by the guy. He went, what do you mean you mefayis him? But he would have lost your collateral. So you would have had to pay him anyway. So therefore I did you a favor. Says more, no. Mefayis abin level you evli mashkoni. I would have appeased him and I would have got back my mashkon. So therefore tough on you. I didn't ask you to pay back my loan. That's true about a Baal Chov who's not pressing to get repaid. What about a Baal Chov who we know is pressing to get repaid? So there, what about if somebody repays? Shamina minado. We hear it from here. Vishokel shiklo. It says, if I am barred from providing you benefit. So nevertheless, because you took an oath not to derive any benefit from me, I could still give you a shekel for you. Your machtis a shekel. It says below shekel, even mashkino. So by shekel, they would press you if you didn't pay. Yet I can pay for you, right? I can pay for you. Must be because I can't demand I can't demand reimbursement from you. Because if I can demand reimbursement from you, so I'm giving you hana. In other words, there's some relationship between the two of us, and we're muder hana from each other. So it must be that afil Adam Maras teaches us afil ba'al chov shu dochi. Even if the guy is pressing and I pay up the loan, I can't go and demand from that guy. Teda shukein should know this is true. The team we learned to makri v'alav kine zovim v'zovos kine yodos chatos v'ashamos. It's talking about a case also where there's muder hana. Yet nevertheless, I can pay for all the karbanos that person is required, whether it be male or female. It's talking about where there's no, it should be like Ella. It's talking about a case where I didn't get anything for you, therefore there's no anah. So also here there's no anah because there's no relationship between the two. Okay, so now the next thing the Gemara discuss, we'll leave it for next week, is what about however there's a government lien. This is all private loans, and I can't come to you if I pay up your loan and demand from you. Just like, and that's why in Mudra Hanor I can pay up your loan. That's not considered to be that I'm providing you with illicit benefit, and that by korbanos it's the same thing. But by government it's not like that. Well, as long as it's not standing there. That says Gemara. Right, we should Levi Omer. Let's see. I always get nervous when I do that. Okay, we'll stop here. Oh, I meant it's tomorrow. Sorry, it's Wednesday. In the winter, I always get mixed up between the days. They all blur into each other.